This week, Saturday, live on DR Sports, we got a massive watch-along to the big fight, AJ versus Robert Helenius. He's the guy, of course, who's coming for Dylan White. We ain't really going to talk about that, right? But it's a big fight, and Laurie, you're going to be here as well.
I will be here. I'll be hosting it along with James, along with Nick, along with Shane. Big night. Big return of AJ. He's taken on Robert Helenius, standing for Dylan White. It's going to be a big night, explosive. Make sure you check it out on DR Sports Boxing.
Don't miss it.
Hi and welcome along to DR Sports. The Premier League is back and we are here with the weekend preview.
Yes, Robbie.
We're going to be here each and every week taking a look at all of the big games that are coming up at the weekend in the Premier League, and to have a look at those games, I am joined today by Nikki from West Ham Fan TV, big West Ham fan. We have got Matisse, of course, massive Chelsea fan, AGT from the Cop TV, massive Liverpool fan, and he's feeling a bit down in the dumps at the moment. Let's cheer him up. Fuad, massive Tottenham fan. Kane's leaving. But listen, and of course I'm here as well. We're going to jump into the games, right? Because obviously the Premier League kicks off tomorrow. Massive game, of course. Manchester City taking on Burnley. The champions taking on the champions of the Championship, right? But I thought before we kind of get into, you know, those Premier League games and previewing some of the big games that are coming up this weekend, and of course you two have got a massive clash, Chelsea against Liverpool. I thought we'd talk about some of the transfer news, because there's some massive transfer
for everyone, actually.
News and activity that's been sort of flowing around today. I'm going to start off with Tottenham, right? It's the big one of the summer, Harry Kane. It's been rumbling on for a very, very long time, all summer. Will Harry Kane stay? He's only got 1 year left on his current deal at Tottenham. Will he stay? Will he renew his contract, or will he leave? Bayern Munich, they put an initial bid in for him, it was rejected. They put 3 different bids in for Harry Kane, and they've all been rejected. But now, today, they've put another bid in for 100 million euros, and that bid has been accepted by Tottenham Hotspur. Now it's down to the player himself, Harry Kane, but there's a, you know, even though I know David Ornstein say that there's a slight hesitancy on his part, but it looks for all intensities that he's going for it. What are your thoughts?
It's kind of the inevitable day. I think every Spurs fans have kind of been knowing that's coming, really and truly. I think the surprise is probably a little bit more of the numbers still the same, whereas 100 million euros has kind of been what they've been offering, I think, the last time as well. So the structure is probably changed, or I don't know whether it's up front now, but honestly, it's as much as it is money coming in, I'm sorry, but the best player we've ever produced leaving our club is never going to be kind of like a happy day for any Spurs fan.
Money's almost irrelevant for you at this stage.
It's kind of irrelevant, honestly. I think now it's kind of every Spurs fan has kind of, I think the last week or so, been coming to the idea of, oh, do you know what? Maybe we do have Kane for one more season, and just kind of building something we can kind of use him to kind of propel that, if you like. But this now coming out of nowhere, it just kind of makes you think season starts tomorrow, as you said. Wow. Where does this now kind of leave Spurs? I remember saying, listen, I don't even have us in the top 6 or 7. But potentially now you're kind of thinking maybe as top half. Are we even going to be there? Maybe? I don't even know.
Aston Villa, Brighton, Newcastle.
Brighton. You look at the quality in and around the Premier League, and I was thinking, you know, if we kept Kane, maybe we could kind of sneak a Europa League, maybe that 5th place, you know, just quietly go about our business. We could snatch it late, but he leaves. It leaves us way 10 steps back.
There's some Italian sources that are saying that you might move for Lukaku after to replace Kane.
Listen, every week, every 2 or 3 days, this guy comes here and tries to fob Lukaku to some club. Last week it was Nick. The week before that it was him. Nobody wants him, bro. Please keep him, please. Oh, sorry.
I mean, just going back to it, it was David Ornstein who broke it as an exclusive. He's been breaking a lot of exclusives. And what he said on his X account, he nearly said Twitter again. Bayern Munich have reached an agreement with Tottenham to sign Harry Kane. Sources in Germany indicate Bayern's proposal worth above the 100 million euros accepted by Tottenham. The 30-year-old is leaning towards staying, but has now a decision to make. But do you think he might stay if he's leaning towards? Do you think he might, or do you think that, you know, a big club like Bayern, the amount of groundwork they would have done on this, I mean, surely they must have a good indication that he's going to stay.
I imagine personal terms would have probably been agreed, but I think his hesitancy is coming from where I've always said Bayern isn't his primary option. I think if he wanted his way, he would have stayed in the Premier League, maybe have gone to a United or something, or a City last year. But the fact that Bayern are there, you kind of always think the Champions League, I could win that. I don't think anybody looks at Bayern Munich and thinks, oh, the Bundesliga. No, they've won the last 10 in a row with no problem. It's not going to add anything to his
Think
legacy.
he could hold a grudge against Daniel Levy for not letting him go to where he wanted to go
last year.
Yeah.
Possibly, but then I do think Ange this pre-season as well has kind of talked a good game. I think the team has looked exciting as well, despite some of the results, even though we lost to Barcelona, was it 4-2 the other day? I thought some of the football we played and some of the patterns we saw, it's like, you know what,
at 90 minutes.
There's something to kind of look forward to this season playing wise. So maybe he's looking at that and thinking,
the thing is about,
should I just have a farewell kind of season? I don't know.
Thing is about Fuad, right? All of those pre-season games have been played with Harry Kane up front. Now, so is the preparation been right? And I mean, should they have maybe moved him on quicker, so that they could have maybe got someone else in?
100%. I think that's
because what's it going to do for preparation?
I think that's the biggest issue Spurs fans have been saying about our planning, our recruitment, our structure. This is why we've been so angry at the board. It's the lack of planning that's gone into replacing Harry Kane. The fact that now you're kind of blindsided and accepting this 86 million. You could tell it's a panic kind of acceptance. It should have been planning. We've got a director of football in jail. I've said 1,000 times. It's like, and a new manager that's just come in. I don't know if the planning could have been done for that type of situation, but it's definitely leaves us in a tough situation. I've said the solution now is there is no striker out there. Kolo Muani is the only kind of one who I think could immediately come in. I've said last week, Evan Ferguson is the dream one, but realistically, it's going to be Richarlison's either got to step up, or for me, I've said move Son into the middle, where because he's become less of a winger, let's be honest, over the past couple of years, he's become more of a goal scorer, more of a final third player. Move him into the middle. You've got Solomon who's come in this year. You've got Gill. You've got a few options. So
it's a lot different than Harry Kane, though, isn't it?
Massively different. Well, Harry Kane was the entire creative system at one point. Let's not forget. He was the highest assist in the Premier League whilst being the top goal scorer as well. Like, he was our entire offense at one point.
Let me just go around the table real quick, right? Staying or going? You think he's
going?
Going?
Yep.
Staying or going? Harry Kane?
He better go. Well, I'm going to be looking at him very differently. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I think he goes to Man United.
Oh, you don't think he's going to go Bayern?
I think he ends
So
up
you
there.
think you wait out a year and then go United?
Or wait out 2.5 weeks and then United could chuck a cheeky late bid in.
Because the telephone there says flex. Well, flex ain't here. It says, do you think that
it's
United...
Tina from Norway.
Yeah,
She always
United
comments.
will bid for Kane. But yeah, I think he'll go.
But the
I
thing
think
is,
he'll go.
what I'm struggling to understand, these links to Bayern have been, or these meetings with the execs at Bayern have been happening for a month now. If he wanted to do it, it doesn't take a month to persuade him to go and want to play for Bayern.
If he wants persuading Tottenham, it's been persuading Tottenham to accept an
I think
offer.
a lot can happen.
But I don't think he wants to go there.
Okay, we'll see on that one. Also, we've heard overnight. First of all, David Ornstein again dropped this one. Southampton, and this was last night, received an offer from Chelsea, not Liverpool, for Romeo Lavia. Proposal of 48 million, including add-ons. Closest anyone's come to Southampton's 50 million valuation to date. 19-year-old subject to multiple rejected bids from Liverpool. The dialogue continues. And then this morning now, we heard that Liverpool have made an inquiry about Caicedo, which is the player that Chelsea have been trying to sign. Now, Liverpool are trying to sign the player that you're trying to sign, and you're trying to sign the player that... I mean, I'm getting confused by you. Like, what are you lot up to?
What are you doing?
What are you both up to?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
You don't have any money.
You can't get 3 of them. You
Okay.
can't get Adams, Caicedo and Lavia.
We're aware of
Just
that.
let us do what we need to
Yeah, but
do, and then you can scoop
you've been
up the
taking your
the
time,
bits
haven't you?
after.
You know
Of
what the
course.
asking price is. It's 50 million.
Right.
So just pay. You've bid 45. Just add an extra 5 and just get the deal done.
I agree with you. But that
bid
isn't
48
what's
though.
happened.
We bid 48.
So you're just as bad.
We're just doing what City did to Declan Rice with Arsenal, really. It's just a bit of games, a bit of banter.
It's so interesting to work out what happens now, because there's some kind of weird chess being played here by both Liverpool and Chelsea. Who knows who's going to be in either squad you know, on Sunday when we play each other. That kind of makes the game even more spicy. There's another edge to it now because of this bidding war. But I don't know what's going to happen. If we ended up with Lavia, success. If we ended up with Caicedo, success.
Neither of these players will be in the lineups.
Oh no, I agree. Curtis Jones will probably play in the 6 or McAllister.
It's like Adams will play in the 6 for us potentially from Leeds.
I don't know what is going to happen. We just did a video on the COP TV about it, a lot of confusion. But it begs the question: if we've got money to outbid Chelsea, which actually was reported by Matt, it was reported by Matt Law at the Daily Telegraph, and then James Pearce said they haven't bid; they've just made an inquiry. So let's get that straight first. But then, if we do have the money, if we're inquiring about Caicedo, that would tell me that we've got 90 in the bank that we're ready to drop.
You actually you don't have the money. The only Matt Law's reported it. Ornstein and Fabrizio haven't, and also James Pearce, who's a Liverpool reporter, said that you haven't placed a bid. You've just made contact. For me, what Liverpool are doing is they've been a little bit rattled from last night. They've seen we've put an actual bid for Lavia, but again, I don't believe we're going for Lavia in a serious way. We've been interested since last summer when we bid for him on deadline day, but we've been moving for Caicedo the whole window, and we've just secured Tyler Adams for 20 million release clause. So we're not going to get all free, and I think we want Caicedo pretty badly. We've been after him the whole time, so I think we're just pressing a couple of buttons, and I don't think Liverpool are serious about getting Caicedo. They missed out on Bellingham for price. They haven't met the Lavia 50 million for the price. Why would they suddenly have money for Caicedo in a bid?
Do you know what? It's quite hypocritical because this morning some quotes came out from Billy Hogan, who's the CEO of Liverpool, that basically went on to say how fees and funds are going to be less because we didn't get in the Champions League, which is totally different to what we've heard all summer. The end of the season, Klopp's got a big war chest to spend. You're telling me 2.5 weeks before the window ends, now you want to say that there's not much money because we didn't get in the Champions League, and then 2 hours later after that, you outbid Chelsea.
Yeah, they received their bank statement this morning.
Yeah, we haven't got much money. Oh, we got money. We got money. Let's go.
It's a crazy situation, and I'm sure we'll find out in due course where Caicedo and Lavia end up going. And then, Nicky, your club, West Ham, you got mad. You know what I mean? Like, you've got the whole summer, you know, not buying anyone. You've had the Declan Rice money, just been sitting there. But the activity around West Ham has gone crazy. You signed Edson Alvarez. Harry Maguire is set to come in. There's been talk about Ward-Prowse coming in.
I heard that's done.
You heard that's done?
Yeah.
Alvarez
I'm not relying on your sources. I remember.
No, don't rely on my sources, but I've heard it's done.
Right, Ward-Prowse. And then there's the Paqueta thing as well. Lucas Paqueta being subject to a bid from Manchester City. It's all going off at West Ham.
Yeah.
Enlighten us. Try and put us straight on what's happening.
Well, I think they're just doing what they needed to do after the Rice sale. They needed to do that. I think the Paqueta thing's come out of left field because it was. I hadn't heard anything about that sort of thing until last night. I did have a feeling something might be going on because about 3 or 4 weeks ago he changed his agent. Now you only change your agent if you're going to look looking for a move.
Yeah.
So I know that he's got a release clause next summer that he can go for 85 million. But I think that possibly his new agent's been putting out the feeders saying, you know, he's available or open to a move. With the City thing, look, there's not many players that can turn down Manchester City. You know, there's not many that, you know, when Pep comes calling, especially on the back of a treble and all that, you know, I never...
Declan Rice turned him there.
Well, we'll see how sensible that is.
That was a bit swift.
But anyway, there's not many players that can turn down Manchester City. When they come calling, look, I never thought that Lucas was going to be with us long term. I always thought it was a stepping stone, a means to an end. And they've come calling the summer early. I can't see us letting him go unless we get someone like Cole Palmer in exchange.
I was going to say, is it frustrating to see, especially both Paqueta and Scamacca in the same summer, considering last season they came in as like
I wasn't that bothered with. I thought he might do better.
In the sense of both of them came in last season and they're going to be the ones to change West Ham a little bit, elevate their kind of playing style. Look, 1 year later, it's just, let's get rid of both of them.
Paqueta, he's got to leave, I think, at some point. I don't think it will be this summer. But I think he will agree to me move to Man City for next summer.
What does the ideal deal look like in your head if Cole Palmer is involved in that?
A year long.
in terms of money plus?
It would
the
be
player,
money
or?
plus probably in for a year or two loan.
Right.
So until we can get that.
And
that
does he
replacement.
start?
He's got to.
Cole Palmer?
Yeah, he's got to.
I don't actually think if I was West Ham, I wouldn't be selling Paqueta because
Money's good, though.
I would.
I don't- we shouldn't
They
be
paid
selling him.
50. Remember, they paid 51 million for him. It's not like it's a player that they got for cheap. You know what I mean? And then to sell him, if it was 75, I don't think that's
he was
much
important
of
in the back end of the season, but I do think for the kind of money they could potentially be offered, you could replace that type of profile. You could get those type of...
Who though?
I don't think he's a 75 million player.
Personally, no.
I'm kind of shocked that City are moving on him
You
for
are
that
right.
fee.
You are right because he's an £85 million player. That's what we'd be moving for
You
next.
don't have to
time.
negotiate publicly. We know what the real valuation is.
Love that.
happy with Maguire. You think Maguire will suit?
I've always said
David
I would,
Moyes
I would
style,
be happy with Maguire.
Yep.
I've always said
I
that.
can't get my head
Ward-Prowse
around that.
happy with Ward-Prowse?
I think the combination of Ward-Prowse and Maguire, I think we
whipping
could be
balls
a
into the
very,
box.
very
Yeah.
deadly duo.
Just out of interest, how many headers has Maguire scored?
No idea.
Just because I feel like people go on like, oh, Ward-Prowse would be whipping it in, but I don't really have Maguire down as like a
No,
Crouch
his head on it.
That's one of his
If
few
it's-
strengths. Is
If
his
it's not,
I've seen him score a couple own goal
if it's
headers.
not goals though, he's nodding them down and he's
Yeah.
occupying defenders.
Yeah.
So
Zuma,
or injuring his own players.
Zuma,
Does that a bit.
Suchek,
Yeah.
Alvarez now.
It's a weapon again.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a weapon.
They're going back to David Moyes.
Oh, yeah.
What it was meant to be.
Forget the
Fellaini,
European
Tim
stuff,
Cahill.
Paqueta, Scamacca.
Yeah, this is what it was meant
Steven
to be.
Pienaar.
Yeah, this is why Paqueta selling him makes sense because I don't feel like I know Moyes did eventually get something out of it towards the back end of the season, but I don't feel like Paqueta is a Moyes player. You know,
Didn't
kind
fit
of
mould.
Lanzini's gone as well, hasn't he?
He's gone,
as
yeah.
well.
Where's
yeah.
River Plate?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah, he
mad
was
move.
released.
Yeah.
Mad
All right. Some super chat says Sully Junior says Madrid to sign De Gea. Courtois ACL injury.
Yeah, just
apparently,
broke.
Thibaut Courtois has suffered an ACL. That's a massive blow.
Broken his ACL according
Yeah,
to
massive
Fabrizio.
blow to
De Gea
Real
still a free
Madrid.
agent?
It's kept.
De
I think
Gea
that's
is
where
still a
he
free
might go.
agent. He is, right? Ellie,
the fax machine.
Ellie
Redemption
Shifty
arc.
says Adams is a very tidy signing for Chelsea.
He is.
He will do all the dirty work and then he'll let Enzo Caicedo run laps around teams. I know there's American tax, but watch. And O'Malley says sell Paqueta and get Coop Miners. Nicky.
Get who?
Coop Miners. I think he's the Dutch player.
Dutch.
Good player.
Yeah.
Good player.
Quality.
It depends.
What about
I don't know.
Kudos? Could you go in for him? Because
Who?
he's still not wrapped
Kudos.
up. Kudos.
Yeah.
Kudos.
I think he's waiting for.
But listen, I don't think there's enough time.
Still 2.5 weeks.
West Ham take their time.
Oh, yeah.
They do take their time. Like it's never an overnight.
Who's
thing.
your number one goalie next season?
Do you know what? We've got a video coming out about that tomorrow. So
Wait and see.
I
Wait
don't
and
even
see.
know, but watch it.
Wait and see. Right, so, but of course, we've been talking about a lot of transfer activity, but of course, the Premier League kicks off tomorrow. The opening game is going to be Burnley taking on Manchester City. Of course, last year's champions of the Premier League versus the champions of the Championship. The connection between, Vincent Kompany, of course, used to be captain of Man City, taking on his old boss in Pep Guardiola. Guys, how do you see this game going? Let's start with you, Matisse.
I think it's got to be City for me, even though Burnley will play some nice football, I assume, based on how they played last season. But it'll be interesting to see if Kompany gets a little bit more pragmatic, a little bit more defensive, because it is a different beast coming to the Premier League. But it's a nice story. It's a nice way to start the season, I think. You're going to Turf Moor. It's a different vibe now. Kompany up against his old club. But Man City, for me, I think Arsenal have pressed a little button. A little bit of a button in the Community Shield, judging by the reactions to when they lost. And I think Man City will go there and do a job. I don't think it'll be pretty because it's the first game. And I think they started their pre-season a bit later than everybody else. And, Grealish has been on the beers and, they're still in recovery from last season. But I think they'll go there and do a job.
I think they're going to be motivated as much as they've been over the past years because they've just done the whole lot. They've just done it all.
That's what you're hoping.
But they have
I think the
Wishful thinking, isn't it?
Well, you're saying that's what I'm hoping, and are you not hoping that as well? I mean,
Yeah. Why not?
Are you writing off Liverpool's
we know
chances
they
already?
don't. We
Are
know
you
they
writing off Liverpool's chances? The way you said that, that's what
Oh, you have to at the moment. You can't say Liverpool are going to be in a title race right now until
Why
they
not?
get some midfielders and a defender. No.
Yeah,
for
cheers.
Sure. But in terms of City, the motivation's got to be there because a lot of those players haven't won the Premier League like 4 or 5 times. Haaland, that was his first one. He's just got the taste for it. Alvarez, Phillips barely played a part. Cover's coming. He's never won a Prem.
Gvardiol's
Gvardiol's coming in. So there's still that kind of.
And they don't start that well, notoriously, do they?
But also,
City?
no one's ever done it 4 times in a row.
Exactly.
So that immediately is a blow.
Could this be a welcome to the Premier League for company from Pep?
There's two
that kind of
sides you
motivation
can look at it.
Roll the red carpet out.
Let me roll the red carpet. And you know what Pep does? The classical thing of he's going to say, Burnley play with spirit. They play with fire, desire. But he's going to bop them 4-0, I reckon. In my opinion. I know it's turf more, but I don't think it's the same turf where it was under Dyche.
I think there's a shock on the cards here. I think there's a shock on the cards.
There's a shock on the cards.
Yeah,
Talk to me.
Yeah, I think I think 2-1.
2-1 Burnley.
Yeah.
All right.
Turf Moor is a tough place to go.
Yep.
Especially for the first game.
First game, opening game. Then
Friday
fans
night,
are going to be
few
on
beers
it.
down them.
I'm telling you,
Couple of
I
pies.
can see a shock here. Notorious last words after they get popped.
I think City win. Let's not forget Burnley did start pre-season before anyone else. They've just brought in Sander Berge as well, taking a really good player off of their potential relegation rivals, the teams that they've just come up with. So there are all these narratives that could happen tomorrow night. It could be the master and the apprentice. It could be that. But then again, if City win, which I do think they will, it's how do Burnley lose that game? If you go and lose 4-0, it's not the best start, is it? But again, he's not getting sacked off of that because what do you expect? It's Man City. But if it's 1-0 in the last 10 minutes, Haaland pops up, Burnley can walk away going, okay, we've played the best now. Anything below that, we can really fight for. So
Right.
I think it could be a bit closer.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some games, and I'm going to come back at the end and get predictions off of you guys. On Saturday, the next game up is going to be Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest.
Matt Turner derby.
Matt Turner, who of course was at Arsenal, who's now joined Nottingham Forest.
Come on, dog.
Arsenal bringing in David Raya, I have to say, a good bit of business, $3 million loan deal with an option to pay 20
losses.
so minimise.
rate it.
So they've got more money available to spend before the end of the transfer window. But Arsenal last season, it's weird. Nottingham Forest away give Arsenal a lot of trouble. We lost there, but at home last season, we dispatched of them 5-0. I'm really interested as well to see how some of these games are going to go, right? Because Nottingham Forest, when they came to Arsenal, and also when we played them, were one of these teams that park the bus, time wasting, slow it down.
Awani up top.
How are these? I wonder how these new rules are going to impact teams like Forest. Is it going to be to the advantage of teams like Arsenal, City, Chelsea, teams that play football?
Liverpool.
Right? Liverpool.
Cheers.
Is it going to be, or will it affect teams like Forest, where they might want to go away to an Arsenal, really sort of slow it down, kill the game? Because now we saw it last week in the Community Shield. There's going to be loads of time added on. The little things like kicking the ball away and that they're not going to tolerate. I mean, it's been a big debate this week about, the amount of time added on in these games. And I want to get your guys' view on it. And just going back to that game, I think,
I think it can
Arsenal
work.
will expect to win this game.
100%.
That's a good opening fixture for a team like Arsenal.
I think it can work both ways. That's the thing. I think sometimes even when you think like City, you would have thought we're in control of moments of the game, 1-0 up, they should see it out. But in Arsenal, catch them cold last minute. So you're hoping it just kind of gives us more excitement. But naturally, the teams with more quality, with more depth, are just going to be able to shine through in those moments. But I think the Premier League's always been like that.
Are you for or against this?
I'm for it because in the World Cup it gave us a lot more excitement. I think so many times we've seen stats say, the ball is only in play for 50 minutes or 60 minutes.
Which is a disgrace, by the way.
If that's the case now we're going to get our full money's worth.
Exactly,
If that makes sense.
and that's what it's about, getting your money's worth. As well, I saw Rafa Varane having a go at the FA.
Yeah.
This guy's never played a full season, so I don't know what he's talking about. Seriously, the most games he's ever played
But now
is
he's probably
32
looking
in
at
a
it and saying,
season.
now I've got no chance of playing a full season.
But this is what
if you're
we're
gonna have
owed.
these 100-minute games.
These minutes belong to us anyway. Don't try and shortchange us with, like when Newcastle
Time
came
wasting.
to Anfield last year, the ball was in play around 51 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, when they come
That's
to
a
the Emirates,
disgrace.
yeah.
So it's only right that we're getting the minutes added on. It's not some big, theory.
Do you think maybe in games
it's only
sometimes
right?
there's also the natural breaks, aren't there? It's like football is a game where you have natural stops and things like that. I mean, I'm with you guys. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I mean, to me, if I was listening to a radio the other day, I heard them, some of the presenters on it saying, but why is this been coming in and it's going to stop celebrations and something. It's not going to stop celebrations. But
Arsenal spent the most time celebrating last year.
If you go and celebrate for 3 minutes, that should be added on.
Of course it should.
Simple.
Of course.
I think last week, you say that, last week's game against Man City, their first goal, their celebration was the longest. They took 1 minute and 40 seconds for their celebration. Now, why shouldn't that be added on?
The thing that worries me is that you've got sort of 1 minute, 2 minute celebrations, and then you've got a 4 minute VAR check, and then another 1 minute celebration.
Forget the last train home.
What happens if that was 5 times in a game? You'd be playing another half.
Yeah, but then I personally think what will happen and what we saw in the World Cup is at first you saw some ridiculous, like 15 minutes added on and that, and people are like, what?
It's fun though.
But then later on, that levelled itself out because, teams stopped wasting time.
Yes.
And teams were aware of that. And I think you might get a bit of that madness at the start of it, but it will level itself out. So...
You see that?
I don't think we should be punishing
You do see a lot of
of
teams coming away from home. We see a lot of West Ham. And they're wasting time after the 10th minute.
Yeah.
You've got the keeper doing that trick where he takes it from one side to the other side every time.
Spins the ball.
And then, all of that sort of nonsense.
Takes little drink,
and it is frustrating. It is frustrating to watch. And it will put an end to that. Yeah. But they've got, like everything, they've got to be sensible with it. You know what I mean? Like, if there's natural breaks in play, you can't just be stopping. Otherwise, we'll be playing another half of football. Yeah. And that will naturally benefit the likes of Manchester City, especially with so many subs.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Plus as well, the other rule change, which is like the one on where they're saying, if you have a go at refs, you already saw Arteta.
It's ridiculous.
I think Arteta's getting sent off at least 3 times this season.
Neville
but
said that
they're going to get really strict with that. Anybody, the little kicking the ball away, Partey got booked for that last week. All of those things are going to be clamped right down.
But it should have been done last season. That was always a rule. And it was past couple of years when people were kicking the ball away, there's no punishment.
Yeah.
So why they've got to re-clamp down on it, I'm not sure.
It's the inconsistencies that constantly happen with the different referees that you have as well. So for me, I just think it's not actually going to bring any more respect to referees. We've been trying this kind of respect referees campaign. Referees have to earn that respect and officiate the game correctly. That's how it's done. I remember, Pierluigi Collini all them years ago? The reason why he was one of the greatest referees, players respected him.
And he took
referees
no shit.
Have to earn that. It can't just be a thing where you make inconsistent silly decisions and then it's like, because there's a little respect badge here, I have to now. No,
I do agree.
And I'm sorry, now that you're going to make referees, basically you're giving them the license to be more willy-nilly with their yellow cards.
This is
you're just going to create more irritation and more friction between players and managers.
This is the thing. I don't think they're accountable enough as it is. Yeah. And obviously I'm not agreeing with people going over and screaming in their faces and like being really disrespectful. Yeah. But,
football's an emotional game.
If you can't question a referee on the pitch and you can't question him off the pitch and he's not allowed to give an interview and he's not allowed to tell anyone why he's made that decision, where does the accountability come from?
And Lee Mason's back, by the way.
I was about to mention
what the hell?
Training ref.
You got him sacked, didn't you? In the first place.
He got himself sacked.
No,
is he going to draw the lines this season?
Bro, I don't know, man.
That's
How is there no one else?
Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest, the early kickoff. Some of the other games that will follow that. Let's talk Brentford Tottenham. That's not the easiest game to get off to start with.
Yeah.
Brentford Tottenham.
It's a tough one, to be fair. I think Brentford will be kind of pumped going into this season as well, having just missed out in Europe last year. This season, that will be kind of their mission. Us, as I said at the start of the show, I think this Kane news has kind of derailed any kind of momentum we've kind of built going into pre-season. Now you're kind of thinking, is he even going to play? What is the team going to look like without Kane? Because it looking good, to be honest. But I've said this season, the one thing we've got at Spurs is low expectations. You've got a new manager coming in trying to play a new style. You've got a lot of players with points to prove, whether that's Kulusevski stepping up, Son returning to form, Bentancur coming back from injury, Romero owes us some redemption, Porro, Udogi. Like, there's players there that give Spurs fans kind of a little bit of cause for excitement, I'll be honest with you. So for me, it's a case of, listen, this game is almost like I don't want to say a free hit, but listen, let's just see kind of what it brings. I'm not expecting too much, as I said, this season going into it. And missing Kane and then missing Tony, it could be battle of the toothless at the same time as well, and end up 0-0. So,
Turtles wrestling. Man.
The big game of the weekend, of course, is Chelsea versus Liverpool, Matisse.
Yeah.
I think everyone's going to be intrigued to see what Chelsea are made of this season. You had a nightmare last year, but this transfer window, you've gotten rid of a lot of the deadwoods.
All of it.
Moved them on, and then you brought in a lot of young, exciting players. But you've had that big injury to Nkunku, which is he's done his ACL as well, isn't it? That's going to keep him out for a long
4 months,
a long period of time.
Knee injury.
Horrible, man.
Tell us, you would have seen the pre-season games and that. Are you confident going into this game? Pochettino, of course, now in charge at Chelsea.
Confident is tough because I think both teams have the same deficiencies. Like, they have the same issues in midfield. So I want us to go into it thinking we can win, because I genuinely think we can. I've seen Liverpool in pre-season been shipping a lot of goals, but at the same time their attack is pretty impressive as well. So for me personally, I think if I had the team together how I envisioned it, which was with Caicedo at this current moment, I'd be a lot more confident. Obviously if Nkunku was fit as well. But there's a lot of unknown quantities in the team that have still got to show that in the Premier League they can perform. I've had good pre-season. Jackson's played well, Santos has played well, Carney's played well, but these guys have to make their Premier League debut and do exactly what they did. So I'm looking forward to the game. I think there's so much spice on it now. There's so much flavour on it. You look at Caicedo, you look at Lavia, all of this kind of back and forth. It's perfect for it. So as long as we don't get another 0-0, and we get an entertaining game, I'm happy.
Big season for Raheem Sterling as well. We keep forgetting about him, don't we?
He's probably he's one of the players under the most pressure, I would say, because everybody knows what he's done in his career. But I'm looking at it as time goes on. I'm thinking how early he started at Liverpool, 17 with Suarez and Sturridge, and to what age he is now coming up into his late 20s. And I'm thinking to myself, are we starting to see the downward kind of trajectory of Sterling and just not having the energy to continue the level he's shown? So it's a big season for him to kind of prove that that's not the case, but there's a lot of people vying for his place. He might not start.
Liverpool, big game for Liverpool as well. Again, very disappointing season last year, didn't get into the Champions League places, and again been a little bit underwhelming this summer with the transfers. I'm speaking to a lot of Liverpool fans, and of course lot of experience has left that midfield. No Fabinho now, no Henderson.
Milner, Ox, Keita, the list goes on. I'm going to reserve judgment on if it's been a poor recruitment window or not until the window closes. I think there's been a lot of Liverpool
you wanted
fans.
to get some...
Oh, no, ideally,
in that central midfield area, you've got no replacement in.
But there's
you've got
a
your first game of the season, Chelsea away.
I know, Robbie, I'm aware.
I'm
aware. Yeah,
that's not great preparation, is it?
It's not. Ideally, you're right. Every club around this table would have wanted our best ins early, the best outs. If you're going to sell Harry Kane, don't do it now, sell him earlier. So ideally we would have all wanted stuff to happen sooner, but a lot of Liverpool fans have been on the FSG out train in the last day or two. Let's just judge it when the window closes and see who we get in terms of the game itself.
What's your feeling on it?
I think we'll get in a midfielder and a defender still in the next 2.5 weeks. Now, whether they go straight in is a different question. We know Klopp likes to bleed in his players over time. You look at Robertson. I mean, when we bought him, Moreno is still playing. It's like, well, why have we... And then you bleed him in. Fabinho came in to replace Emre Can, kind of thing. So there's still work to be done in the window. But for this game, I have no idea what to expect from both teams, if I'm honest. I think Chelsea, it's too early to call what their style is going to be, who's even fit and available to play, what's their starting 11 look like. You've got Tyler Adams in today. Does he start that game? Whereas Liverpool, the strikers are good. Even Ben Doak has been excellent in pre-season. We've got 6 players to choose from, and out of those 6, you could say 5. If any of those 5 started out of Diaz, Gakpo, Jota, Salah and Nunez, we've got to pick 3. If 3 out of 5 played and I didn't know who they were, I'd be happy with it, because they're all as prolific as each other in terms of pre-season so far.
There's going to be a lot of pressure on that front line to carry Liverpool.
But who's going to... And then McAllister, we played him in the 6th the other day. He was excellent. The way he can kind of retain possession, look up, ping passes. He looks like an absolutely unbelievable signing in the long term for Liverpool.
Big season for Darwin Núñez.
Massive season for Darwin. He's finally learnt a bit of English, which is good. You know, he's got a year under his belt now. I think he's got all the tools that you need. I know Nicky's a fan of his as well. He's got everything you need to score over 20, 25 in all comps. But let's see now, after how good his second season was at Benfica when he scored 34, let's see if he can replicate that now. But like I said, he's been given all the tools that he needs. That's fine. No, it's Harry Kane's leaving. It's fine. He's not going to see 34 goals again.
You're not feeling Darwin Núñez.
Richarlison more.
I'm watching close.
One goal so far.
You know my thoughts on Darwin.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But
he wasn't asking you.
Darwin or Richarlison? Is that what we're comparing now? Darwin Haaland to Darwin Richarlison. Hey, you see how life changes in 12 months?
I was in my serious conversation mode then.
Sorry.
You know what I mean? Now we're talking about Richarlison.
West Ham away at Bournemouth. Bournemouth is spending a little bit of money over the summer.
Just signed today Alex Scott, by the way.
Yeah,
25
Yeah,
mil.
that was someone we was interested in as well.
Good prospect he is.
And I believe that
Not the other Alex Scott.
Max Aarons is on his way there as well. I've heard
Hijacked from Leeds.
Yeah, hijacked from Leeds. So they're tough. That's a tough game. It's a tough opening game, especially
Away
from home.
Iraola.
Yeah.
Okay. The new manager.
I've got them as my overachievers this season.
Yeah, I think that's a tough game. They're a fit side. They're gonna chase everything down. I don't think we're quite ready. I don't think we've done our business quick enough. We've looked terrible in pre-season, but I cannot see someone like Alvarez coming in. Even if Ward-Prowse stands to that, I can't see them coming into the side because that's not the way David Moyes does things. So tough. It's tough. Really tough.
Yeah. Brighton versus Luton. New Boys Luton, very tough game to go away to Brighton for your first game. I mean, that's tough.
Ross Barkley just signed for Luton.
Ross Barkley signed for them yesterday.
He didn't look very happy.
He didn't at all. No. And that was out of nowhere.
Have you seen their ground? Have you seen Luton?
Yeah.
Hey, I used to live in Luton.
I know you did.
He has also
That's why
lived.
you don't live there anymore, Luke, Robbie. That's why you only used to live there.
He has lived in Everton as well.
That's a tough game for Luton.
They could get spanked. I can't
Yeah,
lie.
I'm a bit worried for Luton because I think with a team like Luton coming up, where they've got the advantage is that ground.
Yes, absolutely.
You team, especially like if you know a couple of seasons ago, like even Brentford, even though they had a new ground,
G-Tech.
tough place to go to.
They did it to you on the first day.
Yeah, exactly. With Luton now, their ground's not ready yet, so their first few games are all away from home.
Which is the worst start possible. I was at the
Yeah, I
playoff
was just
final when they came up and they said, bring City, bring United, bring Liverpool there.
Yeah, you want
When
to
the
get them
stadium's
to
ready,
that.
we will. But right now, you're kicking yourselves in the foot by not really foreshadowing. I know, listen, the story of how they've gone from non-league, it's incredible. Maybe up there in terms of the best stories in football. But you've kicked yourself because you've not invested in the stadium. Now you've got to play away from home. And
Yeah, but
already
what's the
you're probably
story?
going to lose,
What's
and
the
you're probably
story?
going to be
The
behind.
stadium is not ready.
Non-league Premier League. That's the story.
Yeah, but I know that story. But what's the story with the stadium? Why is it good enough for the
Stadium's not-
Championship? But
Builders are on holiday.
No, what it is. So
Safety measures.
when and also when you come into the Premier League, they've had to build like a new era of their stand for the media, right? You have to have that, or you can't play at that ground. You have to play somewhere else, and it's not ready in time. So they're having to play their first. I mean, you guys having to play your first couple of games away. Your stand's not ready either.
Our
I mean,
stand won't
could
be
that
fully
affect
in
you?
use until October, which again is the Liverpool City Council's dealings. They kind of slowed it down a little bit. Shout out to them. Bunch of sausages.
So you're going to have less capacity.
No, we'll have more, but we won't have the new extra bit. We'll have a few, and I saw pictures of the updates yesterday. It doesn't look great, and again, that's the City Council's fault. But anyway, moving on.
It's
but
always
it
problems
can
with
help.
stadiums, man.
It can help sometimes, though. I would argue it could
I
help
think in the
sometimes.
case of Luton, it could be detrimental.
But they have just signed a striker from Stoke, so that kind of tells you they're rolling the dice, just hoping it
they're not
works.
really. And then the other club that one of the new boys that have come into the Premier League that I think are going to struggle as well is Sheffield United. I mean, they start off with a game against Crystal Palace. They're at home, so that will help them. And these sort of teams are going to rely on the home. And I've been to Sheffield United, the hostile place to go to.
Bramall
Lots
Lane.
of fans really get behind the team. But they haven't bought anybody, and not only have they not bought anyone, they're
sold
they're
their best
selling their
players.
best players.
And a lot of
They've
the
got a
players
lot
still
of
there are the
financial
ones from the
problems.
Premier League last time. McBurney's still there. Some of the defenders.
Was it
Fleck is still there.
Yeah.
Fleck, yeah.
They're going to struggle. I mean, Crystal Palace,
They
their
sold
first
some
game.
key players, didn't they?
Yeah,
They sold
sold
Sander Berg.
But did they not sell someone to
They
Marseille?
sold, and he just replaced Billy Sharp as their number 10.
Ndiaye.
And Billy Sharp did a voiceover for the video, and then he's just gone back. It is his boyhood club, Marseille.
Sheffield United could be the record relegation.
Derby County.
No.
11,
you're saying?
Derby won't be top.
Worse than 11 points.
They could be.
That was tough, Robbie.
How can you go in? How can you go into a Premier League? You just made it back to the Premier League. You sold 4 or 5 of your best players. I think they spent about 11 million quid on the replacements for them, and you've got financial trouble. You've just had a huge injection. If
They've just been in a mess for the past couple of seasons.
But that's what I'm saying.
They did brilliantly to come up.
Is it
How the hell did they get
it? No, it's not. No, it's not Wilder anymore.
Everyone that came up last season
Chris
stayed
Wilder,
up.
he left ages
He
ago.
left time ago. Yeah.
Tell me their manager then, someone.
No one can.
Neil Warnock.
They could be the record. They could be the record.
Right, I'll tell you what, this next fixture is really, really intriguing. Newcastle versus Aston Villa.
I love that.
Two teams that could have a great season. Newcastle, of course, brought in Tonali, were very good last season, and they're going to be very difficult to beat at St James's Park. And Aston Villa, who had a good season once Unai Emery came in, they've strengthened very well. They've brought in players like Moussa Diaby. They're looking like a very, very good. I mean, you look at their squad right now.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your thoughts on this game?
I can't wait for this game. This is going to be a brilliant game. These two teams last season.
5:30 kickoff it is.
Yeah, these two teams last season massively outperformed where we thought they'd be, especially when Gerrard had Aston Villa borderline in a relegation battle, and then where they went to under Emery. They were one of the most informed teams in the league, just behind Arsenal and City. And then you got Newcastle, who have got Champions League football this year. They've made some signings. Harvey Barnes, Livramento, Tonali. So they've strengthened. It's going to be a great game. And I think I saw that Aston Villa were trying to add another player. It was an Italian that was at Galatasaray on loan last season.
Buendia's just been ruled out for some time as well.
Yeah, Buendia's apparently suffered a knee injury, so that is a big blow to them.
Coutinho might get a couple of games.
They're very stacked.
And they're about to sell Jacob Ramsey's brother to another team in the Prem.
Burnley, yeah.
And
I feel like in the
Burnley's midfield
striker
is
position
looking
after
stacked now.
Watkins, I'm not sure who comes in if he was to get injured. That's the only position I'm looking at thinking.
Still got that Louis Barry kid.
No, do you know what? He's on loan at Swindon, I think.
I remember his
You
name.
pluck names out of anywhere. I only remember him from that one game against Liverpool. Like, how do you?
That game intrigues me because I think all of us around this table have Newcastle and Villa in the same bracket this season in terms of 5 to 7, in terms of where they could finish in the league. So for them to play on the first day of the season, this is like, let's see who comes out on top in the race to be in the new top 6 almost, with their ambitions this season.
This guy here, Mary,
Duran.
says Newcastle's time wasting. They'll be playing about 105, at least 105 minutes per game.
Per half.
Newcastle. Their documentary comes out tomorrow, I think, on Amazon.
Yep. I mean, it's exciting times if you're a fan of either of those clubs, both of them in Europe as well. But they've both made some really good signings, and it's going to be that game's going to be really interesting.
Is that 5:30 Saturday?
5:30 on Saturday.
Premier League.
Yeah.
Prime time Premier League.
Newcastle and Villa are both going to want to set the precedent for the season. I think.
That's it. Get one over on each other.
Just before I mention the next game, let me just do a few super chats that they've been flying in. See this one there. Oops, lost it here. So many of them, they're flying past me right now. Kira says, AGT, Mr. Fake. Oh, that's not very nice, Mr. Fake Stats. Check conceded 15 goals in 0405. You study maths at school. That's a minimum of 23 clean sheets.
This is from last week when you said
Ty's stories about Nigeria are more reliable than you.
Can I respond to this? What website?
So when was this?
What website did I read those stats from?
90 Minute. But
Thank you.
You should always double check your statistics. You should
I
always
said, according to 90 Minutes, this is the thing. Why would they get it wrong? They did. So don't blame me.
I feel like
Blame them.
was because
it's going to be called 100 minutes soon.
Because of your bias towards Liverpool, you were very quick to read that stat. Whereas if it was a Chelsea stat against you, you would have double, triple checked it. Because it was Alisson, you were
not
like,
remember my
I
tone?
read
I
that.
said,
Oh,
wow.
verify it. Put it out on Big DR
But do you not
Sports. Come on
remember?
now.
I said at the time,
Do
wow, that's
better.
surprising.
Do
I didn't
better.
know that. So I'm
I
not
told you
saying
at
I
the time,
believed
better
in
check.
it.
And you were like, well, that's not what it says.
According to 90 minutes.
I remember.
Okay,
So you're going to hold that.
Aji Inca MCFC says Fuad lost against Stars and Ilias 86 World Cup hype.
Damn.
What's this?
That's your
Don't run.
That's a whole different platform, bro.
Gunnar Ryan says people overlooking Trossard this season. Thoughts? I think he's going to have a good season. Kepa to Madrid, says Alex.
Could happen.
Stop. Lloris is here.
No. He's not even contracted to your club, is he?
He is.
Is he still?
Still got him B.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We're trying to. He's the World Cup winner.
Wow.
Listen, you got
I thought you released him.
Mark T said Brentford haven't lost to Spurs in the last 3 games. You lost to Brentford last time you faced them.
It was not looking good, bro.
So did we.
Win.
Joseph says, Don Robbie, big fan from Atlanta. Had a great time seeing you in LA. Would you take winning the Champions League but finishing outside the top 4?
Of course he would.
Yeah, I'll take that.
First time for everything.
Anson, all right, you have to get that. Anson says,
Now that's
"Hi,
a
boss
fact.
for Robbie and your
You don't
team."
need to check that one.
He says, "My top 4: Arsenal first, Chelsea second, Liverpool third, Man City fourth." What are your top 4s? I think you guys gave that. You gave that the other day. Monday, 8:00 kickoff. Manchester United versus Wolves.
I think that could be an upset
I want to get your thoughts on both teams. Manchester United, they've made some signings. Højlund, who's come in from Atalanta, 70 million plus. Had a decent pre-season. Manchester United, Wolves, who their manager Lopetegui's walked away from the job.
I respect that.
A few days. Why didn't he walk away a few weeks
Because
ago?
he wasn't getting backed.
Yeah, but he
was
knew
waiting
that
for
all
the
summer,
window.
didn't he?
Then he has to take some blame if he's just been going around slagging them off. But
But didn't he know all summer that they didn't really have any money
What has happened
to
that
buy
Wolves
on
are that
players?
all of a sudden now they don't
Financial
have money?
fair play, and
Yep.
yeah, they're in big
caught
trouble.
up to them, has it?
Yeah.
I think they're
As a
Do you think they're going to be in
by the way.
trouble? I mean,
They're
they've lost
fighting
players like
relegation
Ruben
this year, for
Neves
sure.
as
Them or
well.
Everton.
Traore's
they're going
gone.
down. Yeah, in my
Them or
opinion.
Everton
I've got
will
them
be the
pinned
third.
as one
I can't see.
Gary O'Neill's supposed to be taking over there, by the way.
He has taken over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't see them avoiding relegation this season.
Wolves.
Yeah, I think they're going to be in big trouble. I think
They have still got some good players there, though. They've
Neto,
still got.
that's the only one.
Neto.
One knee Neto.
They let
Come on,
Jimenez.
you know what's
they
gonna
let
happen.
Jimenez go for 5 million.
And what was his value a
Yeah, but
couple
I
years
don't
ago?
think like he was
60 million.
really on
Since
it
the
since
head
the head
injury,
injury. He's
yeah.
not really been.
No, but I'm
at-
just
at
saying,
the same
like,
level.
But it's desperation.
But don't you think Everton are also in kind of like a
100%
similar
they are.
Like Everton
Without
have been knocking
doubt,
on
mate.
the door for years. I haven't seen anything from them in this window.
They've bought a kid from Sporting Lisbon today, and they've obviously got Dan Juma, Ashley Young, but it's not enough.
I think
Smells
they'll
like
be better
relegation battle.
than Wolves just because of Sean Dyche. I think Sean Dyche has solidified them a
build
full season
something.
under there. Yeah, but I fear for Wolves. I fear for Wolves.
I think for
because
you-
they could end up being like one of them teams that go down
Yeah.
double, triple relegations in the
'Cause
way
that's-
they are at the minute.
Let's be honest, they were in the championship for years after getting
Yeah.
relegated. Last time when they had the Doritos kit, was it? They only came back up because of all the investment and all
Yeah.
the
What's
George Mendes.
interesting,
and
right?
those,
Mendes
but-
needs to rise.
I
Yeah.
spoke to Matt Cooper, who as you know is a big Wolves fan. I said, you lot are in big trouble, favourites to go down. And he said both the board and the manager can get mate. The F word came into play. He said they're both to blame. The squad's still good though. And I said, who have you brought in? He said, no one, but we've got rid of a lot of dead wood.
And they do
sound
still.
great.
They still do have some decent players. I mean, when I go through their squads, you know, I mean, Jose Sarr in goal's a good
player.
keeper.
Matthias Nunes is there.
Max Kilman. You know, Craig Dawson, who they
Dawson
brought in
still
for
They let
does
Leicester.
Collins go, didn't they?
Right. Huh?
Collins, the centre back.
Yeah.
Yep. Johnny.
I'm not sure about him.
Nelson Semedo. Doherty's gone back there, hasn't he? Matt Doherty, right?
Oh dear.
You know,
Is Matthias
Mateus
Nunes?
Nunes.
Not
2019
Yeah,
anymore.
big
Oh,
season
the
for him.
last one.
He is. He
the
needs
final
to.
frontier.
We were in. We
step
were
up.
going.
Mateus
into it
Nunes,
at
still
one point.
a
Yeah,
quality
he has to
player.
step up.
Mateus Cunha.
forgot him, actually.
Fabio Silva's got come back.
Yeah.
Wang Chan,
Football manager.
He Chang. Yeah, I mean the
You know what?
South Korean
He had like a little purple patch
yeah,
last year, I remember.
Podence, Neto. They've still got some decent players.
Not, he
Do you know
looks
what it is?
good.
They're all names that like they flash for like
Nearly
2 months and
Yeah.
then they just fizzle out.
Not
for the
even
rest
2
of the
months.
season. Or
2
if that,
games.
yeah.
Where's Traore?
Released.
Released.
Yeah.
Released.
I feel like they
Released.
should have kept him. Maybe.
Has he
I don't
signed
think he
for
wanted to
anyone
stay.
yet?
I don't. Nah.
Yeah, I don't think he has signed for anyone.
Do you know what?
He has to
I
go
could
back
see
to
him going
Barca.
to West Ham as
never
a
know.
striker.
What about Cornet? What's your movement
Antonio
with Cornet?
2.0.
Oh, shoot.
I can
We've
see
got
that.
Antonio, but he's still a striker.
David Moyes. Because remember, Antonio's playing right wing back
that's
before he
Moyes,
got
that's
shifted
Moyes.
to a striker.
All right, well, what about Man United?
I think they're in for a big season, in my opinion.
Yeah?
I think you look at, they finally got a number 9 who I think profile-wise suits the Premier
Not
League.
fit for a while.
Not fit for a while, but I think profile-wise will come good eventually. I think you look at their wing options now. Sancho, I think, has had a good pre-season, which is going under the
he
radar.
scored a great goal against
Anthony,
us.
I'm expecting improvements this year, but Amad Diallo coming back, Garnacho stepping up. They look like they've got some exciting options out wide. Pelestri coming back off loan as well. You look at the central midfield. Mount's just come in. He's going to become an 8 now. Mino coming out of the academy. Amrabat, if he comes in. I
Still
think there's-
Casemiro.
Casemiro's still there. Bruno's still there. So
Yeah.
Eriksen, let's not forget. So I still think there's a good quality depth. And
still
last
there?
season they had one of the best defences.
Yeah.
Except now they've upgraded on the goalkeeper as well.
Think they'll be challenging?
I said this is little horse season. I know some people might think they should be closer or whatever, but I think this should be their little horse year. But summer by summer, you've slowly been building and adding pieces from Varane to Casemiro to Anthony. Now you've got Ten Hag, you've had him for a year, he's allowed to build. I'm expecting more from Ten Hag as well. So let's see kind of how close they can bridge the gap, if you like. I'm closer to see how they do against Arsenal.
Yeah.
That should be... Let's make sure we take these guys in front of us out. Forget City.
Yeah,
City are going to
yeah.
be almost the bar. But Arsenal, that's the competition.
They can
Rio
solidify.
thinks they'll finish second.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a good season. If they can solidify that defence and stop leaking goals, better goalkeeper now. Like, I never rated De Gea. I'm
Yeah.
going to say it now. I never rated De Gea. I'm rating him for about a season or two, and then I think he was really overrated. So if they can get this goalkeeper, well, they have got the
they've
goalkeeper
got to get
situation
Onana's in now.
sorted out. I think they're going to have a good season. You know, you think about they can get Rashford back on the form that he was last year from the start. I think they'll have a good season this season. You know.
On paper,
Okay.
they should be better considering the signings that they've made. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still not done.
By the way, big up to everybody who's watching at the moment live. 6,500 of you watching live. Thank you very much. Enjoying the show, the weekend preview. We haven't spoken about Everton yet. Everton versus Fulham. Let's leave that to you. You've been sniping away at Everton in the background there, which I'm sure
they'd be
all
doing
the
the same.
Evertonians would have seen. Everton versus Fulham. Fulham, who's got a little problem with Mitrovic going on still at the moment as well. What sort of season will they have? Everton, they just scraped by this, scrape survival.
Yeah,
What sort of season will they have?
I liked what Carragher said about Deitch in the overlap recently. He said they're not really the team under Deitch, especially that will lose 4 or 5-0. They won't win 4 or 5-0. They might draw 1-0, lose 1-0, win 1-0. And I do think it's going to be another season where they are literally
Scrapping for their life.
scrapping for points every single week. And I don't think, Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored a penalty the other day against Sporting Lisbon pre-season. They won 1-0. If he can give them 12 to 15 goals, they've got a great chance of staying
Look
up.
like he could get 12 to 15 games out of him.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
But I remember, I think it was 1920, he scored 16 or 17 in the season.
Ancelotti.
Yeah. So
How long ago
when
was that now?
when he went off on one at the beginning of the season, he
Yeah, it's
scored
been about
every week.
18 months, 2 years since you've seen him be able to play consistently and give them something.
play.
I always say those teams in the kind of bottom 6, if you like, if you don't have that striker giving you 10 to 12 goals like Glenn
And those
Murray
10
or
to
someone,
12 goals could
they're
be
salty.
10 to 12 wins.
Yes.
Which equal 36 points potentially, which could keep you up. As we know, 30. Thank you. It's better
So let's be
whatever
fair.
you're saying in the comments.
If he'd have stayed fit, he wouldn't still be at Everton.
Agreed.
He'd
I
be
think they're
at
hanging on to
Arsenal
him.
or-
In an ideal world, they'd replace him, but
Yeah.
they haven't got the funds to do it.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think if they, Fulham at home, Silva, he's got something to prove as well. Former Everton manager. It's a tough start for Everton, that. And I know Fulham, they'll probably play Raul Jimenez. They're still, what's the latest on Mitrovic? Is
Mitrovic
just cast
still
away, right?
interested.
Fulham will,
That move to Saudi,
Fulham will drop off into the
I
bottom
think
half.
Fulham beat them quite convincingly at Goodison last season, if I'm not mistaken. I think Harry Wilson scored a couple. So really tough game that for Everton.
With Fulham though, what's interesting is I think last year I kept saying they were almost like the rejects of other teams that have come together, banded.
Willian,
even
Pereira.
Silva, he's been done dirty at Everton. And that was kind of like, we're coming back into the Premier League to prove a point. Mitrovic, big season. Can they do it again for me? I think that's where the struggle will be this year. I think they definitely will struggle more this year. I actually think them and
Brentford, I think, will drop out the top 10.
I think Brentford will drop off as well. But I think them and Everton, I'll be honest with you, last season, Fulham looked great because they were overperforming. If they can't deliver that, quality-wise, I don't think they're that far off each other squad-wise.
In trouble if things
Palhinha's
don't start
injured as well.
I think it will be like a really kind
Palhinha
of
still injured?
irrelevant season for them, in a way where I don't feel like they're going to be anywhere near breaking back into that position of top
12th or something like that.
I think 12th, 13th, something like that.
I think both teams will struggle this year.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get some predictions, right? So let's run through the fixtures and get your predictions on these games. We'll run through real quick. Let's start with you, Fuad. Burnley versus Manchester City. Burnley are home, the 8 o'clock kickoff, starting the Premier League on that Friday night.
I'm going Man City 3-1 win.
That's what I was going to say as well.
3-1 to Man City.
But I do think Burnley score first.
Okay.
I had 3-1 as well.
3-1 to City.
I'm going to go 2-1 Burnley.
2-1 Burnley. I'm going to go 2-1 Man City. I think it's going to be a close game, but City, Haaland didn't score last week. He won't be very happy. So yeah, Haaland. Right, let's Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. All right, let me go first on this one. I think I'm going to go 3-0 to Arsenal. I think, Forest away have given us a lot of trouble. We beat them 5-0 at home.
When it
last
didn't
season.
matter though.
Sorry?
It didn't matter when you beat them 5-0.
No, we beat them 5-0 earlier on in the season. When it did matter.
Yeah,
No,
that was
who
the
did you
first
beat
game.
last game
When
of
it-
season
when-
5-0?
Everton.
That was it.
I think it was.
Sorry.
No,
My apologies.
that did matter.
My
And we
apologies.
get your facts right, man. What's going on with
listen, I had to ask
your
the
facts
question.
are dropping off right now.
Listen,
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit,
What's your prediction for this?
It's a fact.
What's your prediction?
Arsenal 4-1.
Fuad?
But yeah, I think Arsenal 3-0.
I had 3-0 as well. I'm just going off my predictions
He's
from
just
yesterday.
copying everything.
No, I had big 6 predictions
3-0?
yesterday.
I'm going to go 1-0 Arsenal.
1-0 to Arsenal. 1-0 to Arsenal.
And does Gabby Jesus get over 10 goals this season?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Yes, he does.
Sheffield United versus Crystal Palace. Let's start with you, Nicky. Sheffield United, we were all saying we're going to be under a bit of pressure. Crystal Palace, though, no more Zaha.
Yeah.
No more
I'm
Zaha.
going to go for
Is
a
it?
1-1 draw.
1-1 draw.
1-1 draw.
Sheffield
give-
United.
That's a good game. I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2.
I like that. I'm going
Fun
to go
game.
2-2. I
Desmond?
like it.
Desmond.
2-2 as well?
Yeah.
I go 1-0 Sheffield.
1-0 Sheffield United. I'm going to go 1-1. I think this will be a draw.
Sheffield at home, right?
Palace are going to be another interesting team to watch. I mean, they have brought in a few players, but Zaha's going to be a big miss.
Especially away from home, how do
Yeah.
they perform? Because
Yeah.
they're brilliant at home, weren't they?
Yeah. Nicky, Bournemouth versus West Ham.
Head or heart. I would say we win 2-1.
2-1.
2-1 to West Ham.
All right, away win for West Ham.
2-1 Bournemouth.
2-1 Bournemouth.
1-0 West Ham.
1-0 West Ham.
I think 3-0 Bournemouth.
3-0 Bournemouth.
Your team's coming up, son. Don't worry about it.
I think I'm going to go like 2-1 Bournemouth, just for the mere fact that West Ham, they ain't brought the people in yet.
Yeah.
I think when the players come in, but none of those players that we're talking about coming in, they add Edson Alvarez.
valid.
Every
Valid.
season when
None
it
of them are
starts,
gonna-
there's that before the window closes. A few teams always have that alarm
Yeah.
bell game. This is
Although
gonna be one,
the
I
thing
think.
is, right, sometimes you haven't brought new players in, but then sometimes those players that are there, they're used to playing with each other now for a couple of seasons. So maybe it might work in the reverse.
losing
in
Rice
Bournemouth.
is
I
massive.
think Bowen's going to be on fire this year.
Losing
Yeah.
Rice is
Andy's.
Okay.
Danny Dyer.
Brighton versus Luton Town, AGT.
Brighton versus Luton. I'm going 3-0 Brighton.
3-0 Brighton.
2-0, Brian.
2-0 Brighton.
4-0 Brighton.
I'm going to say 3-1, Brian.
3-1. I'm going to go with that as well. I'm going to go
Yeah.
3-1 Brighton. I think Luton could get a goal maybe. I think Luton will be a physical team, good from set pieces and things
yeah.
like that. So, but yeah. Everton, AGT, you start this one again. Everton versus Fulham.
1-0.
1-1.
I think
Fulham.
first 0-0 of the season.
0-0.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
That's a shout.
Not many goals in
Matisse.
that one.
That's a shout. I'm going to copy him 0-0.
No, here he goes again.
That's how I was copying.
0-0.
Typical
1-0
Chelsea
Everton.
this.
1-0 Everton. I'm going with Nicky. I'm going 1-0 Everton as well. Actually, yeah, 1-0 Everton. 1-0 Everton. All right. Matisse. Newcastle versus Aston Villa, 5:30 kickoff on the Saturday.
That could be a little classic.
Anything can happen here. I'm going to go 3-2 Newcastle. Great game. Game of the weekend.
I thought that as well. 3-2, but I don't know who to.
They're at home.
Okay.
That crowd.
So you're going 3-2 Newcastle.
Yeah.
Fuad.
2-1 Newcastle.
2-1 Newcastle.
Home team.
I'll go 3-2 Newcastle as well. I think
3-2
it's got
Newcastle.
that vibe, like
Goals.
just a bit.
Has to be goals.
Late August.
4-2 Newcastle.
4-2
one game,
Newcastle.
yeah.
I'm going to go 2-0 Newcastle. They're at home, man. They're going to be very... I think these two teams, both Newcastle and Aston Villa, the
home.
bedrock of them is going to be their home form. They're going to be both very difficult to beat.
That's why I'm looking
at
forward
home.
to it.
But
They've both
Newcastle...
got European campaigns, so they're going to both want to get off to fly, get as many
Newcastle
points as they can.
opening game, that is one place you don't want to go for your first game of the season away.
War flags waving in your face.
Long trip.
Them trips up the stairs, they give me nightmares, them stairs, man, I swear down.
I've been up them stairs, they're horrible.
Fuad, Brentford versus Tottenham Hotspur. Possibly without Harry Kane, then without, like you said, without Ivan Toney.
1-1
Big
draw.
up, Ivan Toney was playing football over at the park.
Hey, big him
And
up.
one of my
You
mates...
just baited him out. He's
stay
not
fit.
allowed to play football, is he?
Nah,
We
he
can
is.
play over the park, innit? And
I don't
my
even know if
mate's
he's allowed
son
to do that.
saw him and took a picture of it.
Big
Love
up.
that.
Right, so...
And he got an extra month back.
I got 1-1 draw. I think
1-1 draw.
Yeah, early season nerves. Both teams will kind of stalemate themselves. They'll take a point away as well.
2-1 Brentford.
2-1
Sorry,
Brentford.
Hey,
1-1.
not cold.
No Tony.
8-1 Brentford. No, 2-1 Brentford. 2-1.
Brentford's a tough place to go to
Yeah,
for
I'm
your
just
first
remembering
game.
that we're away as well. actually.
First game. I remember memories of our first game.
This
there.
Kane thing's kind of ruined
Yeah, I
me.
can't like.
Yeah, I'm going 2-1
You gotta
Brentford.
lose. 1-0.
And that ain't even Tottenham hate. I
But
just
they play
think
some good
that's
football, so I don't feel like Tottenham.
Handball!
Yeah, it's like let's go. I don't know. It's a
Yeah,
strange
but
one.
then
It's a tough one.
that might even suit Brentford again as well. And that's a tough.
Hey, last season
opening
they
game,
taught us a
man.
lesson, man.
Yeah.
Home and away. I'm telling you. So.
I'm going 2-1. You know them little players like Wissa.
Them man that didn't pop out.
You know these guys that
Oh,
nobody
oh.
talks about these guys, but they're just
Yeah.
Is it
Damn-
these guys?
damn
You won't see
good
the rest of
players,
the season,
man.
and he'll just pop up for this one game.
Wemmer
Yeah.
smashed them up.
Buemo, yeah.
okay. Manchester United versus Wolves. Nicky,
4-0 Man United.
4-0.
3-0 Man United.
3-1 Man United.
2-0.
2-0 Man United.
2-0 Man United.
Very Man United score.
Yeah.
I'm going with the 4-0 Man United. I cannot see
Set the
anything
tone.
apart from a United win. Final game. Let's start with you, Matisse, because you're at home. Chelsea versus Liverpool. The big one of the weekend.
2-1 Chelsea. Starters we mean to go on. Need to win. Hello, brother.
AGT.
3-1 Liverpool.
Oh, behave.
3-1.
Behave. Tyler Adams is playing, man.
You don't know where I'm from, dog.
3-1 Liverpool.
Yeah, man. I think the strikers that we've got. If we get in these opportunities, they're clinical guys. If Salah gets half a chance, it's a goal.
Nunes.
He's also going for the record: 7 first games, scoring in the first 7 in a row in 7 seasons.
Check the stats, please.
Yeah, man. Even watching that as you say,
He didn't say that with any confidence.
Let me rephrase it. He has scored on the first day of the season the last 6 years, and if he scores against Chelsea, that would be a new record.
Nicky. Nicky.
He was so bamboozled.
With all due respect, we're the polar opposites, brother. He's got more hair than me.
You couldn't have got it more wrong there, Rob.
He's got a beard. He's got a beard. He weighs the same as my
He
leg.
couldn't take what you were saying.
Anyway,
Get your facts right, man.
this has got a Desmond written all over it. 2-2.
2-2.
2-2.
Yeah, that scares me a bit.
I'd go 1-1. I think this is probably going to be the most disappointing game. It's going to be like a
Chess.
a fighting game, which Chelsea Liverpool always is, but it'll end up in a draw 1-1.
So all burp and no sick.
Yeah,
is what
I
you're
think the
saying.
Villa, as you said, the Villa
It's a
Newcastle
horrible
game.
analogy, that, isn't
The
it?
Villa Newcastle game is the real one to look forward
Yeah.
to. This will be the one that gets all the glitz and
Right.
glamour, but we're all like,
I get the feeling it's going to be an exciting game. I think it's Pochettino now, as you know, plays a different style of football to what Chelsea have normally played.
Your guy.
I'm going.
Mauricio's magic.
Come on, Rob.
Go on, say Chelsea.
Such an evenly matched game.
Devil and angel on his shoulders here. Come on, Rob.
You
know
know Jackson's on smoke. Come on.
we all
let's
hate
be-
Chelsea, don't we, Rob? Eh?
ooh,
FFPFC.
interesting
Come
question.
on.
Jackson.
I'm going with 2-2 as well. I can't separate
Leave
the two.
yourself.
Fair.
2-2. I can't separate the two, man. So 2-2.
There you go.
Sultan with a super chat says this Caicedo stuff is just PR. FSG out. He says the worst
Who
owners.
said this?
Sultan.
Okay.
And Hakeem says listening to
we go.
AGT talk football is like listening to Mia Khalifa talk about marriage.
Also,
That is ridiculous.
Chelsea's bid has been rejected
Jesus
for Lavia as well,
Christ.
48 million.
Yeah, I
bid's
knew
been
that, I
rejected.
knew
So, but we knew they wanted
Come
50.
proper,
Just
man.
pay, man. No, we don't.
At this point, you just
we don't
want us
really
to
want
pay
him.
the
Just
50
pay.
bill.
Yeah, we don't really want him. Just
And
pay.
HW says Chelsea Liverpool game this Sunday is moving like a classic WWE custody match of Caicedo and Lavia. Listen, we've reached the end of the show. Actually, just before we go, who you two answer this? Where's Caicedo going?
Chelsea.
Chelsea,
Where's Lavia going?
Liverpool.
So
We're just being silly.
Look at us.
very silly. Very silly.
Who would have thought?
Where's Kane going? Or is he staying?
He stays.
No, you don't
Stays?
believe
Nah,
that,
I
though.
don't even believe he's going, man. We've accepted the bid. Personal terms have been agreed.
Yeah.
It's only a matter
If he
of time
doesn't
now.
go, buy me.
David
I'll be-
Ornstein.
yeah.
David Ornstein
I'll be
saying
shocked.
that.
Can't wait to
They're
hear
gonna
him
go
speak
States.
German,
I'll
by
be
the way.
David
shocked.
Ornstein said there's a bit of doubt.
I think that's just
That's 'cause
to
he
kind of
hasn't
keep
learned German
Spurs
yet.
fans on that kind of string there of hope. But it's
I
the
reckon he
hope
might
that
play one
kills
more
you.
game. I think he might play this.
It's the
second.
hope that kills
He
you.
might not want to leave without playing one more
goodbye.
game.
You're saying the Brentford
The goodbye game.
sign up for the
Alvida
hat
saying.
trick. Hey, I will love it, and I think I deserve it.
All right, well, listen, that's all of the games we've run through. Don't forget, you can join us every week throughout the season with the weekend preview. So we'll be doing the weekend preview every single Thursday. Don't forget, on Saturday, the Saturday Football Show returns.
back.
AGT will
It's
be up in the
back,
hot seat.
boys.
Right,
And girls.
some really good games and talking points. You do not want to miss that.
Loads of incorrect facts.
Yep.
It's going to be great.
And then, of course, we're back on the Monday with a weekend roundup, rounding up all the games
That's a juicy one.
on the weekend. Thank you to all of you guys for being involved. I mean, seeing all the chats and the super chats, and you know, I'm sorry that we've not been able to read out more. It's been a really packed show. But thanks very much for all being involved, and thanks to you guys as well. I'm looking forward to the first game of the season tomorrow. Burnley taking on Man City, and then it all goes mad from then on. Looking forward to it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to DR Sports and don't miss a thing. Bye. This week Saturday, live on DR Sports, we got a massive watch along to the big fight. AJ versus Robert Helenius. He's the guy, of course, who's coming for Dylan White. We ain't really going to talk about that, right? But it's a big fight. And Laurie, you're going to be here as well.
I will be here. I'll be hosting it along with James, along with Nick, along with Shane. Big night, big return of AJ. He's taking on Robert Helenius, standing for Dylan White. It's going to be a big night, explosive. Make sure you check it out on DR Sports Boxing.
Don't miss it.